Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Maitri and I'm very passionate about tabletops and I'm on a quest to become a better GM, better player, and a better person. And I want to share some of the cool stuff with you that I've been learning. So the second week of October is Mental Health Awareness Week. And in honor of that, I'm going to be doing a series of videos called Mindfulness in Gaming. The topics we'll cover, like the one today, is about burnout. We'll be talking about GM burnout, which is a separate thing. Self-actualization and reflection through games, emotional bleed, couple of other items as well. So I have about like 5 or 6 videos planned, but they're all apart from like 2 of them, including this one, I haven't actually scripted any of them as yet. So if there are any topics that you would like to see covered, please leave them in the comments for me below, or you can send me an email or a Twitter DM if you would prefer to keep it private. Today's video is about how playing tabletops, or anything really, can reduce burnout. I want to preface this video, as I will be prefacing all of my videos in this series, by saying that I am not a therapist. I have been to therapy, and I am an advocate for accessibility, which includes both physical capabilities and mental health. I will not be providing any kind of diagnoses and will be staying away as much as possible from clinical terms like depression, anxiety, ADHD, etc. And I urge you to do the same. This is really just about treating yourself and the people around you a little bit better. This is not a substitute for any work you should be doing with a professional. And in some cases, this might not even be something you look to in an ancillary capacity, depending on what your needs are. You know what's best for you, obviously, but I want to start by stating my intentions and really allow you to kind of make the right decision for yourself. So let's dive in. Here's the thing about burnout. A lot of people assume that it's primarily about the quantity of work and responsibilities you have. And yes, that is a significant part of it, but it's not the only part. And the other elements that are involved in feeling burned out are just as important to address. But if you don't even know they exist, how can you address them? So the two biggest additional parts, and again, not only, but just sort of additionally big, that need to be addressed more or less immediately and at the same time. The pressure you put on yourself for there to be no disasters on your watch, which everyone around you gets used to, and that sort of becomes the baseline of what to expect from you. And number 2, feeling like you don't have a lot of agency. You're constantly just reacting to things, and you don't have as much decision-making power as would be meaningful for you to be able to decide what it is you get to react to, or make changes to your own life to react to different things, or to make your life easier down the road. So there are 3 things then that go into feeling burned out, not just the one that a lot of people assume. There's obviously more, but as I said, we're going to focus on these 3 for today's purposes. Number 1, quantity of responsibilities and expectations. Number 2, quality expected of you, that is the pressure that comes from either yourself or from outsiders to deliver perfection on those aforementioned responsibilities. And number 3, a lack of agency, feeling like you are not able to enact meaningful change. So all of these together is probably why you're feeling majorly burned out. And honestly, it's the reason why stepping away from work for a few days may not always do the trick. You've addressed the first thing, you've reduced the quantity of work, but you haven't done anything about the second 2. You're still putting a lot of pressure on yourself to perform at a no failure level, and you still feel like you have to react to shit endlessly without ever being able to do anything about it to manage what shit you have to react to. And the thing is, you fucking push through, man. Like you find a way to cope, and you feel real good that you did that for yourself, and then a cycle starts to form. You plummet and you rise again, and that cycle can get addictive, or at the very least it can get predictive and familiar. And I know that some of you might be thinking, like, yeah, I'm under a lot of pressure, so what? I'm handling it, and honestly, that's me. I'm handling it now, but it's going to catch up to me if I don't do something about it. You don't give yourself permission to feel any kind of way because you're like, well, what do I have to complain about? You know? Honestly, getting to feel like you are in a state to fix your burnout is a tremendous privilege. And before we move forward, even like I really want to acknowledge that. Like I want us all to acknowledge that there are people that are just stuck in circumstances, and after you work multiple brutal shifts with ungrateful, coworkers and customers and just mean people, you have to come home to your family responsibilities, and you are constantly broke. You have to apply for government assistance, which is a huge pain. And these people can only ever try and stay afloat. But for the rest of us who can do better, let's do better so that collectively we can make the community better, and maybe even eventually provide more infrastructure and actual support systems for those people who need it most. But you can't pour from an empty jug. Anyway, I came across this incredible list of questions in doing research for this video. If you say yes to even a couple of these, you might want to consider it an early warning sign of burnout. It's not a judgment, it's just an observation. So, as you've heard me say before here several times, a problem well stated is a problem half solved. And that's where I want to start. I want to start by identifying the problem. So let's go through these questions together. Do I feel guilty or anxious when I'm not working? Have I stopped playing or doing leisure activities with friends? Do most of my daily activities revolve around building a more successful career? Am I consistently sleeping fewer than 8 hours per night? Am I consuming stimulants multiple times per day to hide my exhaustion? Am I sitting still and staring at screens for most of my waking hours? Am I indoors all day receiving minimal fresh air and sunlight? Do I depend on alcohol or drugs to cope with social situations outside of work? So those are the questions. And the thing is, if you don't listen to the soft signs, like saying yes to most of those questions and realizing now that, holy shit, maybe I need to do something about this, your body is totally a drama queen type A and will not hesitate to give you emergency signals. Like blacking out, which is what happened to me. It's fucking scary and embarrassing to go to work like every other day and then randomly be waking up in a hospital emergency room with some random person from HR hovering over you. Believe me, you don't want that. Anyway, I'm still very driven. I still set really high goals for myself and high bars for myself, and I work really hard. Better fucking believe, though, that I am super intentional about that work-life separation and taking the life part and using it to recharge and try and get as close to that 8 hours of sleep a night every night now. And somewhat paradoxically, the better I am at the life stuff, the more energy and verve I have for the work stuff. The idea is not to ignore your responsibilities and your goals. The idea is to be recharged and rejuvenated so that you can honor yourself and do the things that you committed to, that you want to do, and that are needed from you. You cannot pour from an empty pitcher, like I said before. I am not telling you not to show up. That is not the answer to burnout. What I am saying is that you can do it better by allowing yourself to take everything a little less seriously and just allow yourself to be joyful. And for many of us, we get that joy in games, in tabletops. Don't you feel so great when you've just come from an amazing session? And that good feeling probably permeates other areas of your life without you even realizing. You're a little bit lighter, you laugh a little easier, you don't feel like the world is out to get you as much. Everything's just a little brighter. Not as many things have sharp edges, you know? So one of the things that is happening, of course, is sort of the general good feelings that you get when something you did goes well. But the other reason is that the concept of play is, as an idea, is an incredibly effective tool to combat burnout. There's a lot of great research out there, and I'm going to link to Charlie Hohen's blog article on the subject in the description box. He was Tim Ferriss's second for the 4-Hour Work Week, the 4-Hour Chef. So if you know any of Tim Ferriss's work, you know it's very research intensive, and it's got this step-by-step approach, very meticulous, and that's what you should expect from Charlie too. I got a lot out of reading his blog and out of watching the related TED Talk, both of which I will link in the description. Anyway, play is what you need. You probably don't do a lot of it because time taken to do that is time you are spending on yourself in a non-serious and non-productive way. But that's what you need. You need to find areas to engage in that will allow you to stop taking life so seriously. Specifically in the area of play, whether it's board game night with friends or a game of catch outside with one other person or playing a tabletop. And I'm not saying, you need to only engage in tabletops in this sort of loosey-goosey, improv way for this to work. No, engage with it however it's fun for you. If that is hours of prep, painting minis and terrain and making mats, so that you can tell this, amazing battlefield story versus, a super dramatic and emotional scene where some daughter is reconnecting with her estranged mother. Come on, man. Whatever feels good for you to do, if it's showing up with sort of a general outline of what you can accomplish, do that. If it's trying a new system, do that. Whatever it is, the only rules are to be intentional and not take yourself too seriously. There is a liberation and a rejuvenation that comes from doing things that you enjoy intentionally, and you can take that energy to doing the things that you have to do, your responsibilities, your goals, that sort of number one piece of burnout, the quantity of work. There's a great section from Charlie's blog that I want to reference directly here. Kids don't run to get into shape. They run to feel the grass beneath their feet and the winds on their face. Kids don't have a chat over coffee. They pretend and make jokes and explore the outdoors. Kids don't network. They bond with other kids while playing. There is no ego. There is no guilt. There is no past to regret and no future to worry about. They just play. And that's what I'd forgotten, what I'd been missing all along. Giving myself permission to play was the cure for my anxiety. It was a subtle but powerful shift in how I viewed the world. No one ever tells you to stop or take a break without you burning yourself out. Or if they do, it's very oh, hey, I'm worried about you. But you can tell when you're getting more tired, when you're getting more irritable. Things that used to be easy are for some reason taking a real toll on you. You'll be oblivious, but your nerves will be frayed to shit. you're snapping and getting mad at the dumbest shit, but you can't seem to stop. The paradoxical problem here is that when you get like this, it's super easy to convince yourself that, if you just get through your to-do list, if you were just more productive, maybe you wouldn't be feeling like you were constantly behind. But do you see how feeling stretched thin can't really be solved by stretching yourself even thinner? And at this point, if you don't take a break, like I said, your body will make you take a break. It will take one itself. So here again, this is where play comes in. You need to do something that's fairly low stakes, that engages different parts of your brain, that just gives you joy. Finding that spot where you're truly yourself, being made happy by something that's ostensibly fairly simple. You need a space where you can let go of your ego, where you can let go of worrying that you look stupid and just immerse yourself in the flow of the moment. You need a space where you can not only imagine and create, but revel in that imagination and creation. You need a space where you can be a social creature to the comfort levels and bond with people that you are comfortable with and kind of get to know yourself a little bit better through that experience. All the stuff I mentioned, tell me that's not what a great tabletop session does for you, man. Or if it's not tabletops, like maybe it's something else, Maybe it's video games, maybe it's basketball, like I'm talking about tabletops because that's what this space is. And that's where I get my joy. I think that's probably true for at least a few people watching this. But yeah, so that's sort of the central point of this video. Make time for play. It's like that, there's that old saying, if you don't feel like you have 20 minutes to meditate, you probably need at least 40. So maybe your brain will try to convince you that there are more important things to do, like you need to be productive. But like I said, can't pour from an empty jug. You need to do this to show up in the best way possible for the commitments you've made. And none of this has to be good to some arbitrary standard, which, let's be honest, when you say good enough, what you mean is worth monetization, because that's what capitalism has done to us. Like, I don't really sing. I'm not a good singer. Like, no, man, you should sing because you fucking like how you feel when you sing. You're not pitching for a record label, so like whatever. And it's bullshit that we've all been kind of pushed into this position of like, oh no, you shouldn't do things unless you're good at it. Like, come on. Anyway, that's a different video. I think I've made my point. Play to reduce burnout. That is all I have today. I'm really excited about the series, and I hope you are too. But yeah, come and see me again soon. Bye.